Warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler, enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
All right, it is the Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler for Dirt Diggler. And we're going to come at you with the review of Week 2 of the NFL action. So we're going to kick this one off with the game-by-game review. That's going to be something we're going to do every week until we don't anymore. We're going to go over how Washington beat Dallas and how I feel about that and how you should feel about that. We're going to go over the segment, which is probably going to be a long-running segment. I'm just going to make this a fixture, but it's called What the Fuck Buffalo. And we're going to add to that a new segment called What the Fuck Cleveland, which really could sum up, like, really Cleveland's entire existence since they were rebuilt as an expansion team, but we'll go back into that. We're going to cover what's going on with the Patriots, my uneducated predictions, Philly media fuckery, the beer of the week, and a new piece I'm doing called the Scorching Hot Take of the Week. So, all right, before we get into any of that, before we get into any of the aforementioned topics, allow me to just make a statement. Look, there's been an astounding lack of hate mail, right? There's been a lack of hate mail, and I've been talking to some folks that listen to the podcast, and I'm like, why don't I get any hate mail? And what I've gathered, right, through talking to multiple people, what I've gathered is that my takes are bulletproof, right? Like, they're indisputable. The things I say are not so much opinion as fact, and I understand that. And I wanted to bring the most accurate show to the listeners, but that's not what listeners want, right? So I got to start bringing up these irrational, shitty takes that people have become accustomed to, right? I'm looking at like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and look at some of the takes that they have, and they're really shitty, indefensible takes, but they take them, and they generate a lot of conversation because their takes are so extreme. So maybe what I need to do, if I'm going to increase the listener interaction, I need to just start having some shitty takes, right? So what I think I'll do going forward is I'll have one irrational shitty take per show, or maybe a couple, and it's up for you, the listener, to figure out which take is the shitty take and respond with the appropriate amount of rage and anger in your email to me. Because really, I would just love to have a conversation about my takes versus your takes and how my takes are superior, even my shitty, irrational takes that only exist in the fringes of my mind. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, you're all fucking welcome. So, ta-da! That's doing that for you. Doing that for you, listeners. Either way, all right. So, let's go over what happened in Week 1. So, my Week 1 predictions, actually Week 2. I'm sorry. Week 2 had me go 10-5, which is still pretty damn good, right? 10-5 is still good. I was 11-4. Last week, and this week, Week 2, I was 10-5. So, and I don't count Thursday games. So that brings my overall predictions to 21-9. 21-9, right? So you know what? Like I said before, don't worry about the spread. Fuck the spread. I'm not going to predict the spread correctly. In fact, I'm just saying the scores because I think that's what's going to happen. But I've been disappointed or surprised each and every time, as if I look at my estimates. But at the end of the day, the victors are pretty much going to be who I say they're going to be. So I take comfort in just being mostly right, but not right. I mean, it's what it is. It's what it is. If you think you could do better, please send me some hate mail. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, the Bills, man. We're not even at the section for the Bills. We're just going to cover the Bills game. But so the offense was clicking, right? They scored like 31 points, and they lost. So, of course, the first thing the Bills do is they fire the living shit out of their offensive coordinator, right? But they allow Rob Ryan to remain. So if your offense puts up 31 points, that means your defense had to surrender in excess of 31 points if you lost that game, right, between defense and special teams, right? So the offense is actually working in week 2. However, they still fired their OC, right? So Rob Ryan, who's really only coached maybe one defensive note, and, you have these people, they're like, oh, but what about, the offenses that were part of those teams? Look, I don't care. If the 2000 freaking Ratbirds could win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer under center, then a defense can honestly probably win a championship for you. So don't put it on there. Rob Ryan is just he's a piece of shit, worthless defensive coordinator, entertaining dude to watch. However, not very good at his job, which is really should be a prerequisite for existing and functioning at this level, but apparently not always the case. So whatever. So right now the Bills are a shit show. Rex Ryan's not going to finish the season. You can count on him, right? Between weeks 12 and 14, he'll get fired, right? He'll take Rob with him, since the OC's already been shown the door. But it really looks like between the incompetence of the Dolphins and the what's going to happen in Buffalo that we all see coming, that the only team that's in a position to challenge the Patriots is the Jets. And if you haven't been paying attention to history, the Jets have found ways to lose to the Patriots more times than not. Actually, so we can talk about like how awesome the Patriots are or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Bottom line is this. They exist in a division that cannot stop stepping on its own dick. It really can't. It's honestly, as a fan, it's offensive to see one team own a division this long. And the reason they own the division is mostly because of the sheer incompetence of the 3 other franchises in the division, right? So the NFC East is a shit show. It is. It sucks. But it's like you never know which piece of crap is going to float to the top of the bowl. So it makes for some entertaining football. It makes for Week 17 theatrics and suspense and things like that. You don't get that in the AFC East, right? All you get out of the AFC East is, all right, the Patriots are going to win the division. Who might have their shit together enough to challenge them? But as it turns out, most times it's really no one. It's no one. So I need the AFC East to get their shit together. I'm really tired of watching these teams just donate wins to the goddamn Patriots. I'm fucking tired of smug-ass Patriots fans running around thinking that they're actually doing something. It's just, it's insulting. And I'm in Ravens country, right? So, so you have the Ravens fans, but even they're not as smug as Patriots fans. Either way, no matter what the teams do this season, I'm sure they'll find a way to fuck it up and hand the division to the goddamn Patriots. So, moving on to the Panthers game, Panthers and Niners. True to their cat-like nature, their cat nature, right? Because Panthers are just big-ass cats. Now, I wouldn't invite one to your house, though, to tear you to rip you, asshole, like literally. But true to their cat nature, they toyed around with the Niners before hanging up 46 points on them. That's a lot of points. The thing is, I don't really know what either of these teams are going to be, right? So the Panthers get back their big receiver that was injured last year, but I still haven't figured out this team. And then you have the Niners, who are run by Chip Kelly, who surprisingly takes a stand with Kaepernick, but more on that later, or maybe. But the NFC West is an enigma as well. They're an enigma. I don't know what to make out of any of the teams in the NFC West. And we're going to cover the rest of the teams, but the NFC West is just a strange division, right? You had the Niners, which were in the Super Bowl and habitual NFC Championship participants for a number of years before they fired Harbaugh. Right, they're bringing Tom Sula, who was basically a parking attendant, and to make him a coach, and things go terribly wrong, of course, right? While this is all happening, they have a mass exodus of people retiring and just, leaving the team. And so now enter Chip Kelly, and I don't know, like they beat the brakes off the Rams, who in turn beat the Seahawks. And then you have the Cardinals losing in week 1 to the Patriots at home. But I don't know. So, like, if you have it, like, can anyone really say they understand the NFC West? If you do, let me know. So, all right. Moving on to a game that I feel is exciting, right? The Cowboys and Washington. So the Cowboys beat Washington as predicted, right? They beat Washington in Washington. The thing is, the Cowboys really aren't that good as a team. They're not. They're not that good. Dak Prescott is playing solid football right now. He's putting up a lot of yards, but he's not throwing a lot of touchdowns. He's not putting up really respectable stats with regards to that, with point scoring. So, I mean, he's managing the game. Right now, He's going on to his third start this week. He's doing a really good job as being a game manager. So if you're a Dallas fan, you have reason to be excited. But like any other fan of a team with a rookie quarterback, me included, wait till you play someone of note, see how the rookie responds then, and then go buy the jersey if you're convinced that this is the future of your franchise. As it stands right now, Dak really hasn't played really anyone. I'm not counting the Giants as being a good team yet because they haven't played anyone. But like I said, we'll see. We'll see. So what makes it very interesting, though, is to see Washington lose at home again. Right? So they've dropped 2 at home in a row, 1 to a divisional opponent at this point. And it's glorious because they're firmly at the bottom of the division. So awesome, right? So to me, all this does is it's like a Scooby-Doo mask reveal where they pull off the mask of the team from last year and it's the same shitty team from the year before. And you're like, we knew it was going to be you. So that's basically the Washington team right now. The Washington team sucks. They're a dumpster fire. Their organization as a whole is dysfunctional from the ownership down to the freaking guy who hands out the bottles of Gatorade. They all suck, right? So you have players calling for Colt McCoy to start after week 2. 2 weeks in. 2 weeks in, and this team is already turning on itself. Please, Washington, never change. We love you for this. This is the team that I've come to know, right? This is the team I love. This is what I expect from a team owned by Daniel Snyder. This is exactly what I expect. And damn it, Washington, don't ever change. Don't ever change. Just please don't ever change. So, moving on, the Steelers pulled out a close one against the only team in their division I can see challenging them for supremacy, which would be the Bengals. Now, the thing about the Bengals is they're not a bad team, with all respects. We can't forget what happened last year where they basically unwound and gave the Steelers the game in the playoffs. You can't forget that. There's a reason that they don't win anything. But they did have an answer for Antonio Brown. They did a good job of keeping him from winning the game on his own. But end of the day, the Steelers still won that game. The Steelers still put up the W. The Bengals still went home with the loss within their division. So they're going to be playing second fiddle to the Steelers team, at least until Roethlisberger retires. I mean, I don't know when he's going to hang it up. I don't see anyone on the bench able to come in and spell him. But when Roethlisberger hangs it up, that may be the time for the Bengals to do something. But that is not this year. So if you're a Cincinnati fan and you like shitty chili and the Bengals, just know that your best you're going to do is second place in that division. The best you're going to do. That sucks to be you. Whatever. So I predicted a shootout between the Giants and the Saints. I predicted a shootout, and it didn't happen. I'm having a real tough team figuring out who the Giants are. Real tough time figuring out who the Giants are. Their defense seems to be solid, but the offense, it seems sporadic. It shows up and it vanishes. It's very weird. And I guess I should be used to Eli Manning performing like that because you really don't know what you're going to get week in and week out. Now, Eli is great when it comes to like clutch stuff, but regular season, he's kind of weird. He's just like barely above mediocre most times. But like I say, dude's got 2 Super Bowl rings, so he's just weird. The Saints have a good offense. So the defense did well to hold him to little points. But the offense, the Saints also have a terrible defense, and the Giants' offense wasn't able to score many points. So it's like, I don't know. We're going to find out. When the Eagles and Cowboys and Giants all start playing each other, we'll get a better understanding of who's who in the division. And when these teams start playing teams that are considered elite, your Packers maybe, your Steelers, your Bengals, your Patriots, when they start playing those teams that are considered elite and putting up some good numbers and maybe winning games, then we can take these teams seriously in the East. But right now, we're feasting on nobodies. And for the Giants, they're not even convincingly beating said name nobodies. But we'll see. Like, it's early in the season. It's only week 2. I'm only reviewing week 2 right now. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So, the Dolphins. I goddamn hate the Dolphins. I'm not even like, I just fucking hate the Dolphins. Look, you had Janine Garofalo starting opposite of you. Tom Brady's out, right? You play the Patriots at home. You freaking injure the backup quarterback, and yet you still manage to lose this fucking game, right? Every year I come out, every season, I'm like, oh, the Dolphins should be good this year because they have XYZ on defense. But they're never going to be good. I don't care who they put on defense. They can get Andre the Giant out there, and they still won't generate a pass rush. You get Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice and whatever other players you want in there, and they're still going to suck out loud. Why? Because Ryan Tannehill is a piece of shit. He's a scrub, and he needs to be freaking counted as such. He's not good. You're never going to win with Ryan Tannehill. And if you're a Dolphins fan, I like to think you've come to terms with this. But between Ryan Tannehill, all right, and your fucking soft ass pastel uniforms, and you're constantly getting owned by the Pats, I can't advocate for you anymore. I can't. Your team sucks. Tannehill's a bust. You need to draft somebody else. Cut him. Tannehill, right? Same guy who got into practice squad players because they were making it too difficult for him to practice. This is a first-round draft pick, starting level quarterback who can't handle the practice squad being too competitive, and he's your starting quarterback. Miami, seriously, what is going on? Find someone new, and move on. The only way, actually, I don't know. Look, maybe you guys can dig up like Dan Marino or something and get him out of the booth and back. He's right now, whatever state Dan Marino's in, he's better than who you got in Ryan Tannehill. God, this team just sucks. Once again, someone explain this shit to me. Explain this shit to me, please. So the Texans beat the Chiefs and nobody cares. I don't care. Do you care? Do you care that the Texans won a game against the Chiefs? No, I don't care either. Moving on. The Lions lost by a point to the Titans, right? Because the Lions are collective pieces of shit who find ways to lose. And but Stafford was hitting the truck stick on people, which is great if you want to get intimate with Stafford's backup, right? Because he trucked like a cornerback, and then a safety came and found him, and he was no longer trucking people. So Stafford, who's already been injured several times in his career, he's probably the last one you need dropping your shoulder into people. But, because Detroit, that's what he was doing. And at the end of the day, he didn't even win, so it was wasted effort. Can we call him a bust? Can we classify Stafford as a bust too? He's been in the league, 6-7 years now? The guy's got how many playoff victories? 0 in that division? Like, I don't know what to do with these people. I really don't. I don't know what to do with Stafford. I don't know what to do with Tannehill. They're both busts in my opinion. They're overpaid, and they're a piece of shit. They need to go away. The Titans suck. Detroit blew it. But that's what they do. That's part of their charm, I suppose. So, whatever. So, moving on to the Ravens-Brown games, right? So, it's basically the old Browns versus the newer expansion Browns, which are terrible, right? So, for those of you old enough to remember, before Art Modell relocated to Baltimore, the Browns were a respectable franchise. They had never been to the big dance, right? But they were not a doormat. They were worthy of being rivals to teams like the Steelers and Bengals and other. They were worthy of being there and playing those games, right? They came pretty close a couple times. Now, when that infrastructure uprooted and moved to Baltimore, they took all that with them, right? Now, the city of Cleveland apparently sued to keep the history of the Browns and the name Browns in the city, right? So the new team, the expansion Browns, inherits all that stuff, but they don't really inherit it. Like, just because you kept your trophy case of all your old championships back in the day doesn't mean that this team with this ownership and this front office is anything like the team that just left, which became the Ravens. So the old Browns, the Ravens, played the new Browns, the actual Browns, and they allowed the new Browns to rack up 20 points on them before the Ravens even got on the board, right? So the Ravens, their defense is going to be like it was in 2000. No, they're not. The Ravens are freaking overrated. You barely scrub one against the damn punk-ass Browns, right? So you let the Browns score 20 unanswered points on you, and if the quarterback doesn't get hurt, which he did, you don't win that game out. So the Ravens, once again, I'm going to tell you, don't be excited about your team. Your team is horrible. Your team is absolutely horrible. No one should allow the Browns to score 20 unanswered points, ever. No one should allow that. The Browns are a joke. They're a horrible team. And I can say that because the Eagles beat the Browns handily. The Browns sure as hell didn't rack off 20 unanswered goddamn points like they did against the Ravens. But whatever. Ratbirds are going to ratbird. Whatever. Whatever. I just, you know what? Honestly, being in this area, I love it when both Washington and Baltimore loses. I mean, I drink in the sadness. I enjoy it. It sustains me. Few things make me happier than the tears of Ravens and Washington fans. Except maybe the tears of Orioles fans or Capital fans. And the tears of National fans and Wizards fans. All their tears are so delicious. They sustain me throughout my day. So when the losses start coming, Baltimore, no, they're coming, I'll be right there to enjoy them all. Because that's how I get down. I'm from Philly, and I know you don't like me, and I don't give a fuck. So, whatever. So, moving on to the Seahawks-Rams game, right? So, per tradition, the Seahawks shit a game out against the Rams and lost. because that's what they do, right? The Seahawks can be one of the most dominant franchises in the game at any point in time and still manage to lose this game every damn year, right? I think Jeff Fisher owns the Seahawks in this for at least one game. He just wins. Now, so this may bring some credence to why he was extended. This might be why. They might have been like, well, Jeff Fisher sucks, but he beats the Seahawks. Oh, well, then we should sign this guy for 3 more years of football. I think that's how it went down, because he beats the Seahawks. So I watched Russell Wilson, who was hobbled, go out there and get it handed to him, because his offensive line is terrible, and they are terrible. The Seahawks' offensive line is an absolute abomination. It's horrible, and it needs to get addressed, or they're not going to win any games this year. Well, any more games. Russell Wilson was taking a beating out there. He's taking a beating, and you guys lost to the Rams, and you guys only scored, 3 points? There was a total of 9 points scored in this game. The fans should have all been given refunds. Anytime you have an NFL game played and only 12 points you scored, that's a loss for everyone involved. No one comes out of that with a win. I mean, yeah, sure, the schedule will say you won, but did you really win? No, you didn't really win. That was a terrible game. Terrible, terrible game. So, anyway, what the Cardinals did to the Buccaneers is unacceptable. I'm going to say it right now. So for all you Bucs fans, know I got your back on this one, right? I am a victim advocate in this sense. What the Cardinals did to you was wrong, and it shouldn't happen, and there should be laws in the books to forbid teams like the Cardinals from beating the shit out of you the way they did. I believe there's rules against that. That's like a spousal abuse or something, because the Cardinals went in there and beat the shit out of the damn Buccaneers 40-7. 40-7. Like Jameis Winston threw 4 picks. It was glorious, right? It was glorious. So, yeah, Mr. Crab Legs himself couldn't stop turning the ball over. Uncle Rico couldn't stop turning the ball over, right? So my question is who the hell let North Tampa High School into the stadium to play one of the NFL elite teams? Which asshole, routed the bus to the wrong spot? Those kids were supposed to be playing somewhere else. They weren't supposed to be in that stadium. So what I'm going to tell you is this. I was hoping that maybe the Bucs were going to turn the corner and be worth their shit, but it looks like I'm wrong, and I accept that I'm wrong. Whatever. But what I'm telling you is, Bucs fans, remember those paper bags you had that had the eye holes cut into them and it had said something sad on them, it sucks to be a Bucs fan, sucks for the Bucs. Break those back out, right? Break them back out. If you don't have one, make one, but be sure you fold it neatly and put it back in your bag after the game, so you can use it next week, because the last thing we want to do is create unnecessary waste. We're all going to recycle now. So recycle your paper bags of sadness. And if you're at home, you need to have your paper bag ready, because if you happen to go outside, folks need to know what you've been going through, so maybe they can be a little more gentle on you as you make your run to the store for another case of PBR. Whatever, right? So the Chargers beat the brakes off the Jaguars, who I also thought, once again, we're going to do something this year and become a team of note, right? It's still early in the season, right? It's still early in the season, but the Jaguars really just, the Chargers beat the shit out of them. The Chargers really put it on them. So what I'm going to say is, all 3 Florida teams are dumpster fires right now. They're trash can fires. You got the Bucs, you got the Jaguars. So the Jaguars do play in Florida. There's a little shitty town called Jacksonville, I think, in northern Florida, and that's where they play, in case you didn't know, because I know it's hard for people to read maps. So there are 3 teams in Florida, and all 3 of them suck. So let's do this. This is what I suggest, right? We take those 3 teams, right? We take the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Bucs, and we roll them into the SEC where they belong. Well, technically they will be in the ACC, right? But I'll tell them they could be in the SEC, so they can play teams like Alabama and Auburn and fucking lose at home, because that's what you're doing right now. You're disappointing the NFL. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Moving on to the Falcons-Raiders game. Julio Jones did the thing he does where he catches a bunch of passes and touchdowns and makes your team lose, and there's really nothing you can do about that. It's okay, Raiders fans. It's okay. He does that to just about everyone. It's rare that he doesn't catch a bunch of passes and makes things difficult for you. It's okay. Just know that soon enough, you won't have to worry about folks like Julio Jones, and you'll be losing games within your own division in no time. Just know, and once you start losing games to the Chargers and the Broncos and the Chiefs, you'll feel right at home, and things will be good. No, in all actuality, though, this Raiders team has a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. They're going to be up and down, and I hope that they come into relevance, because really I don't like the Broncos at all. And I do respect Raiders fans for sticking by their team for so many years while they were just really shit. But yeah, it's going to be rough, as the guys mature, and hopefully they can spend the money right and keep the guys in house and maybe bring in some vets to help train them up. But right now, they're not what they need to be to really compete. And I don't think they're a playoff team yet. I don't think the Raiders are a playoff team yet. So, moving on, the Colts played the Broncos, and that went as expected. The Broncos beat the living breaks off of the Colts, and I hope Andrew Luck is moved to a different team before his liver gets exposed to open air, because they really are not helping him at all. You signed Frank Gore. Frank Gore's your feature back? Really? Frank Gore's like 1,000,000 years old. How is he your feature back? Your offensive line sucks. Your defense sucks. You got Trent Cole, who is an Eagle. Love him, but he's like also very old. He's your starting defensive end. Like they're not helping this guy. They're not helping this guy. They're not drafting players. They're just, the Colts are a bad team, and they're wasting one of the most exciting, talented young players to come out in a long time, and it's a shame whenever that happens. So if you're a Colts fan, start writing letters to your congressman or ownership or whatever, and try to, have them fire the GM, get a new GM. Actually get a new GM and coach. They don't like each other anyway. So fire them both, get new ones, and start from scratch, man. The Vikings, holy crap, the Vikings beat the Packers. Right, so I got, some live footage of the new stadium, and I'm not going to lie, that Viking stadium is pretty sharp. And yes, it is going to murder all the birds. It's going to murder all the birds. It looks out of place, but if you put that anywhere else, it looks nice. It's not a bad-looking stadium. It just doesn't look like it belongs where it's at. But, so, that was their first game. Like, week 2, they got to play in their stadium, open their stadium, right? And they get to open their stadium against the division rival, the Packers, right? Oh, my God, the Packers have been, they're successful, right? So, the Packers go in there, and they lose. Sam Bradford plays pretty damn good football in a game to where yards and points were really hard to come by. Because I watched that game, and they did well. But in the process, Adrian Peterson tears meniscus in what looked like a routine tackle. Right, so, oh my God, Adrian Peterson's down. Guess what? Hey, Vikings fans, calm down. Your team actually is substantially better without Adrian Peterson. I know you don't believe me. It's hard to see yourself doing anything without Peterson, but you're going to choke in the playoffs anyway. Just know that even without Peterson, your chances of making it to the playoffs are pretty good, because you do better without him. You just do. So rest easy. Think of this as a good thing, and hope he doesn't ever come back. Because Adrian Peterson, for all his greatness, he attracts, you guys got to feed him the ball and everything else, and you figured out ways to do things without him, and you're better when you do that. So, if you don't agree, please, this is one of those bulletproof takes. If you don't agree, seriously look at the numbers. Adrian Peterson hinders your team. It is possible. Trust me. So, all right, moving on to the game that I actually really cared a lot about, and that was the Eagles in Chicago on Monday Night Football. So, the Eagles went into Chicago and took the Bears behind the woodshed for the most part, right? They beat up on Cutler. They beat him up, who sucks if you haven't paid attention, right? Cutler sucks. He has sucked for a long time. He doesn't care, and he sucks because he doesn't care, right? If you haven't been paying attention, that's Chris's legacy. You can bring as many receivers as you want. Cutler's going to find a way to throw inexplicable picks, and he's not going to give a shit, and that's just part of his mystique. No one likes him on his team. He's lame. He's a quitter. He's lame, right? So the Bears allowed the rookie to look good. The Bears defense allowed Carson Wentz to come in there and look solid. They blitzed him. They hit him. And you know what? It didn't matter, right? So if the receiving core doesn't have Butterfingers, Wentz has another 2 touchdowns and 75 yards of offense on the line, right? So, but they did, so he didn't. But that's what we got to live with in Philly, right? We had drops last year. We have drops this year. Man, the Bears suck. The Bears are a shitty team. The Bears are a shitty team. They're going to be shitty until they get rid of Cutler. Cutler's holding the team back. He's always like, he got an owie on his hand. He got an owie, and so he just kind of threw another interception. He fumbled through interception. Oh, my hand hurts, and he went away. And then the backup comes in and starts doing pretty good. But by that time, the game was over. And he quit. Cutler at that point he quit. And one of the rare times I'm going to agree with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith was right. Cutler's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Because for all his ability, he doesn't have the heart and the mind to do anything of note. He's always going to let his team down when it matters the most. He is. So, look. And the bad thing about it is that because the Bears are such a dumpster fire, such a trash can fire, I can't put too much stock into that game as being any kind of measuring stick for the Eagles. I can't. So the real measurement comes this week, today, week 3, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers go into Philly and they play the Eagles, and it'll be the first time Carson Wentz and this Eagles team, plays a franchise of note. All right, Pittsburgh is truly elite. I have to give them that, and I'm excited to see what happens this week with that game. I can't wait to see it. So, all right, NFC East standings, right? So Washington lost again, right? This time to a division rival. Again, this time to a division rival, which puts them firmly at the bottom, right? 1-1 with a divisional loss, right? So the Cowboys also lost a divisional game, but they all won a divisional game as well, which puts them 1-1 in the division, which puts them in 3rd place. And the Eagles, because they haven't played the divisional games, but they're 2-0, are in 2nd place. And the Giants, having won a divisional game while being 2-0, are still sitting in 1st place. So it's really, the Eagles and Giants are tied. Like I said, I don't know what to make of either team when it comes to that because they really haven't played anyone of note. It should be interesting though, right? So the NFC East, they typically backload the games for the division into the end of the season, and for everyone really, but for the NFC East in particular. So it should make for some interesting situations at the end of the season and see how this shakes out as teams try not to get mathematically eliminated. But I tell you right now, if you're a Washington fan, your shit's done. Just hang it up. Hang it up. Your team's terrible. They're going to be terrible. If we expect you to be terrible, we need you to be terrible. Just be terrible. Do it for everyone else. Think about the greater good. So on to the What the Fuck Buffalo segment, right? You have 31 points scored, and your response to losing after scoring 31 points is to fire your goddamn offensive coordinator.
That makes sense.
Really? Wow. So I don't know if I agree with that logic. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I fucking don't. However, that's what you did. You fired your OC after week 2, which is like, wow, you don't get to see firings in week 2, but no shit. They fired him. The Bills fired their OC, right? So Rex Ryan, like I said, Ryan's he's a shitty defensive coordinator. He's still there. I wonder if his relationship to his twin brother, who's the head coach, has anything to do with that, right? But it's weird to see him standing around, right? Because you look at his stat line, he's not a good defensive coordinator, right? But it's still inexplicable to have fired your offensive coordinator. It proves nothing. And that's where you get the what the fuck. It proves nothing. Your offense scored 31 points. Your defense allowed the other team to score more. The onus goes on the defense and the defensive coordinator. That's where it goes, not on the OC. I watched those big-ass Jets receivers just bully their way down that field. You didn't scheme for those guys, and that's why you lost. And Rob Ryan's, you're in charge of that scheme. You fail, you go home. But that's not what happened. And so, what the fuck? I mean, look, Buffalo, I like watching the Ryans brothers like I like watching the Bills fans because they do outrageous shit and they're entirely entertaining. But at the end of the day, they're going to lose. Like, Bills fans put themselves through tables and they drink heavily and they do crazy shit in the parking lot when they tailgate. And then they go to the stadium and then they lose and they go home. That's the Ryans brothers do the same thing. So it all works. So wow, what the fuck, Buffalo? But Cleveland, what the fuck, Cleveland? Holy shit, what the fuck, Cleveland? Oh, what the fuck, Cleveland, dude. So, all right, so pre-draft, the Browns pick up RG3, Robert Griffin Jr. They pick him up, but they still hold the number 2 pick. And so their scouts were split 50-50 between Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, who, if you weren't paying attention, Jared Goff sucks. He sucks. And Wentz doesn't. So, right, they knew that the Rams were going to take Goff. And since they were split, what they did to break the tie was they just fired all the scouts that liked Wentz. They fired them. They said, you like Wentz, you're fired. So that way, they can create their own echo chamber of bad decisions, right? And trade out of that position, right? So it is the most Cleveland thing to have the rookie you passed on and the rookie you publicly stated. Like, the best thing Cleveland could have done was not to say anything at all about Wentz, but that they said he didn't see him as a top 20 quarterback. For him to go in there, right, or for him to go out there and beat that team while they lose the guy they hitched their wagon to, it is exactly what Cleveland deserves. It is exactly what Cleveland deserves. That's not to say that if Wentz goes to Cleveland and he's successful, because Cleveland doesn't have the infrastructure required, I think, to be successful. I think they're always going to kind of be that shitty team because they got shitty owners and shitty front office, and they're always going to make shitty decisions. Like, everything Cleveland does is wrong. But you got to ask yourself, what the fuck, man? Like, you seriously fired all the guys who were who favored Wentz, and that's how you made your decision? Like, that is dysfunctional. Like, that's not even the government engages in shit like that. I imagine it doesn't. I don't know. So they're not snake bitten. They're just a bunch of incompetent assholes. So whenever someone like me jumps on there and goes, "Oh, the Browns are snake bitten," no, they're just incompetent assholes, and that's all you need to say. History will prove you right. Trust me. So, all right, moving on. My uneducated predictions going into week 3. Right, current record. Once again, I am a stellar 21-9. That's right. Get like me. 21-9. Get like me. Predicting games. Some of these games I don't give a shit about. Still predict. Right, so I see the Cardinals beating the Bills 35-10. I see the Raiders beating the Titans 21-14. I see the Raiders avenging that loss they took last week. I see the Washington team losing to the Giants 17-26. Which I kind of want the Giants to lose a divisional game, but I kind of want Washington to lose one as well. And I want Washington to lose one more because, like I said, I drink in the sadness of Washington fans. So as much sadness you can pile on, please pile on. So they're going to lose this game, and I'm predicting it so I can drink in that sadness. I see the Browns losing to the Dolphins 12-24. I think the Dolphins are a shit show, but I think the Browns are a bigger shit show. So ultimately the Browns will out-Browns the Dolphins, Dolphining themselves. The Ravens should beat the Jaguars just because the Jaguars are finding new and interesting ways to lose, but I don't know. The Ravens could lose that game. Either way, what I'm predicting is a score of 17-10 in favor of the Ravens. I see the Lions getting the brakes beat off of them by the Packers 10-27. I see the Broncos beating the Bengals 24-10 because I don't think the Bengals couldn't handle the Jets defense. I certainly don't see them handling the Broncos defense, which is right now the best defense. DeMarcus Ware does have a broken arm. He's out for a while. But Von Miller is still a wrecking ball on his own. I see the Vikings losing to the Panthers 17-28. I see the Rams beating the Bucks 28-10. Bucks, you've lost me. I'm no longer your advocate. You letting those guys hang up 40-something points on you. 40 points is just unexcusable, and you get no sympathy from me. None. All right, I see the Niners beating the Seahawks 24-10. Like, this wouldn't have made sense last year for me to make that prediction, but because the NFC West has become such a mystery and the tables have turned so drastically, and now it looks like the Cardinals are the class of that division, I'm gonna say the Seahawks are going to be in a free fall. Their inability to protect Russell Wilson is going to cost them like it did last week, and so they're going to lose to the Niners. The Niners defense could score some points on that team, and if they do that, it's going to be bad news. The Jets I see beating the Chiefs 21-14. So the Jets receivers are all they're huge. Brandon Marshall and Asuwu, I think his name is. These are just big ass dudes, and there was so little that those DBs could do for the Bills. There was so little, and I don't see that changing. Really, I don't see that changing. I respect the Chiefs and their secondary, but I think those receivers are too imposing. Matt Forte is running the ball extremely well down there, and Fitzpatrick is he's on point. Like, he's still hot from last year. So I don't see the Jets losing that game. I don't see them dethroning the Patriots either, but I think that the Jets are gonna win that game. Like I said, 21-14. The Chiefs are gonna score points, but I don't think they got enough juice to beat the Jets. I see the Chargers beating the Colts. The Colts have a good chance of winning maybe 2 games this year. This is not one of them. I see. All right, Steelers and Eagles. I'm biased, of course I am, right? So this would probably be one of the ones I can't excuse my bias in this one, but I see the Eagles winning 27-20 against the Steelers, right? And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna receive some hate mail on this one, either way it goes. But I'm hoping that the home field advantage is enough for this team, and the defense is good enough to get after Roethlisberger to where we can get some turnovers and we can win this game. It would be great. I would love to see the Eagles win this game, and I'm predicting that they will. What I'd like to see even more, though, is Carson Wentz respond to that Pittsburgh defense and do some good things. This is, like I said, this is going to be the first test for this team and for that rookie. If he does well, it bodes well for our future, and that's what I'm concerned about. The Bears will probably lose to the Cowboys because the Bears have Jay Cutler and the Cowboys have game manager extraordinaire Dak Prescott. So I see them winning 21-17. So 21-17 Cowboys. That's what I'm predicting. And then the Falcons versus the Saints, right? So the Falcons, once again, another one of those teams, they lost week 1 and they won week 2, so not quite sure. The Saints, I'm pretty sure, are going to start 0-3, though. So, yeah, Falcons 35, Saints 24. That's what I'm predicting. Once again, NFC South, I don't really care about your division too much. It's a boring Applebee's of a division. It's your division is Applebee's. The Falcons are the manager of said name Applebee's for the most part, but the Falcons are the owners. The only team of note is the Panthers. So, all right, going forward in Philly media fuckery. So, Philly, this Carson Wentz is pretty good, right? But they're drawing comparisons to Brett Favre and Ben Roethlisberger here, right? So please, everyone do yourselves a favor. Do not compare Carson Wentz to either of those sexual deviants, right? You got, until Carson Wentz can hit and beat a couple rape cases and or send ill-advised dick pics to someone, don't compare him to either one of those two players. He's just not there. The body of work to support that is not there. Besides, man, look, the comparison of one player to a pre-existing player who's undoubtedly a Hall of Famer is played. Stop. Let these dudes do what they're going to do. Let them grow into who they're going to grow into. Like, how many baby Michael Jordans did we see, coming to the NBA? A bunch. Oh, he's the next Jordan. No, he's not. There's never going to be another Jordan. Either if you're at the level to where you can be compared to someone like Michael Jordan or Brett Favre or Roethlisberger, then you just become your own thing. You become your own name. There's no comparison there. So stop. Let this kid play his games. There's no need to really put all this into it. I understand, you got to generate those clicks and pay those bills, but, really? Brett Favre and Ben Roethlisberger? Really? Get the fuck out of here, man. Nah. So, beer of the week. Saranac Summer Pilsner, right? Apparently, this is a 4th-generation family brewery. I don't quite know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know why it's worthy of note. But I'm going to take me a sip. Hold on. All right, so if for those who actually are beer drinkers, I'm going to tell you right now, this is actually closer to being an IPA or pale ale than a Pilsner, right? It doesn't have that clean taste. It's got a lot of hops in there. And it may be at the back end, there's some barley that comes to the forefront, or malt. I wouldn't say this is the best beer to watch during the game. It's not. This is a cigar beer. Like, if you're just chilling out, not doing shit, smoking a cigar, this would probably be a really good beer for that. But if you're going to drink a mass of these things, a volume of these things, I wouldn't recommend this beer. It's good. It's just not football watching good. So if you're going to roll the dice on Saranac Summer Pils, do so knowing you're going to smoke a good cigar with it, not watch a football game with it. Unless you can do both. Unless you're going to do both, in which case, have at it. So, this week's hot take, the hot take of the week. All right. So, I'm going to go into this aware that the Patriots did in fact play the Texans on Thursday Night Football, and I'm actually going to factor in what I say into that a little bit, right? So the Patriots are down their second and third string quarterback. The first string quarterback is still suspended, right? Which is entirely of his doing. So for all you Tom Brady defenders, I'm going to tell you exactly why it's of his doing, right? He signed that shitty CBA. All those players did. All those players, with the exception of the Steelers locker room, signed that horrible CBA that gave Roger Goodell all those powers, right? And since Brady and his Uggs and his fucking fancy dog hats and whatever shit he fucking does decided to whine loud enough to take it to federal court, it cements his power, right? Roger Goodell is now stronger than he was 2 years ago because of Tom Brady and his fighting this Deflategate madness. So for all you guys are like, Roger Goodell's the worst. Listen, y'all did this. Your freaking homeboy, your savior, did this shit to you. Did it to himself. He did it to the NFL. Roger Goodell is unequivocally able to levy any penalty he wants because Tom Brady decided to take this to a goddamn federal judge or two. So understand, read the contract. It was a bad CBA, and the players shouldn't have signed it, but they did. So this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. So, look, fuck Brady. You know, fuck him. I can't believe it. But either way, like, I digress. Belichick has got to be running out of virgins to sacrifice at this point, because he's still winning games. He's still winning games, right? So you go in there, week 1, you got no Tom Brady, they win. Week 2, no Tom Brady, second string goes down, they win. You know, week 3, they play the Texans, who shit themselves, with Jacoby Brisket, whatever, Brisket? What's it, Brisket? Yeah? He's named after a piece of meat, I believe. And he wins, but he, you know, hurts his hand and he needs surgery, so he's out now. So at this point, really, what you're going to end up with is a jug machine that's just going to fire balls randomly out into the field, which I'm sure a Patriots receiver to be there. But Belichick has got to feel Satan tugging on his clothes to try to bring him back home because his work on earth is done. I mean, the fact that this guy just freaking continues to win games no matter who's under center is of note. And I got to say, there's probably some occult stuff going on with that, right? So, I mean, he's winning football games with piles of pork roll, or I don't know, what do people in New England eat for breakfast? Is it clam chowder and ethnic slurs? Is that what you guys have for breakfast? I assume it is, right? But whatever. He's winning football games with that at quarterback, which is interesting. It's interesting TV. But seriously, I really, once again, cry for help here. I need the rest of the AFC East to get their shit together. I'm really tired of seeing this franchise freaking cheat to win and somehow feel self-righteous about it. So could you please, like, stop being dysfunctional dumpster fires and challenge this goddamn team and make your division worth watching for a change? God damn. And I mean, like I said, the AFC East, the NFC East is a shit show, but we make it entertaining at least. Like, who's going to be the least horrible this year? I don't know. Let's watch and find out. Like, there's no guessing with the AFC East. So let's bring back some guesswork. All right, so that's the show, right? That's the show. All right, so that was my hot take of the week, and this is the show, right? So once again, listen. I'm on iTunes, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on SoundCloud, I'm on Mixcloud. Find me, tell a friend, have that friend tell a friend, and have that friend's friend tell another friend. Tell your family, tell your mom, tell your grandma. Maybe your grandma wants to hear me swear about football. Maybe she's into that. You know what? I'm cool with that. I'm not going to judge. Grannies used to get it in too. Shit. But look, find me, right? And if anything I said, you feel like, hey, I need to respond to this guy. This guy's an asshole, and I hate his face, and I want to respond because he's a piece of shit Eagles fan. Fine, please do so. Look, Diggler2823 at gmail.com. Hit me up. I promise it'll be worth your while. All right. So with that being said, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Dirt Diggler out.